And good morning. Welcome to the Dave Fox Home Remodeling Show. I'm Gary Demas. Really glad to have all of you tuned in this morning. Here we are in late October. And I've got Brad Pope from Moen with me. Brad, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about faucets because that's what Moen does. Mm-hmm. And I know we're going to be talking about some cool electronic gadgetry that goes with faucets and other things in the home having to do with water.
Right.
So is there anything Moen does that's not centered around water?
Oh, for the most part, we pride ourselves in being a steward of water. Mm-hmm. We have a goal to save X amount of gallons of water over the next 5 years. I don't know what that number is, but it's a huge amount of gallons because there's a lot of wasted water out there with leaky faucets and drippy showers. So we really pride ourselves in creating a product to help prevent that.
I know, and I have that product in my house. Yeah, thanks to the radio show we did a while back where I learned about Flow by Moen. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be talking about that some today. I'll tell all the listeners about my experience with it. And Brad, you can tell them more. I know Moen's doing a lot more with that and the technology and all that stuff. So that's what we'll be chatting about today with Brad. So Brad, first, why don't you give our listeners a little bit of your background and how you got involved with Moen?
Yeah, Gary, I've been with Moen for almost about 20 years now. And have learned a lot, have seen a lot. It's kind of funny coming back 20 years. I mean, our price book was pretty small with a lot of chrome and some brushed nickel, but it's a consumer-driven product right now. It's just kind of driven to become a product line that we're coming out with new products every 6 months, every 12 months to just, to appeal to the consumer and their changes and ever-changing styles and designs. So I've come a long way from selling a chrome chateau faucet to a high-end faucet that you can speak to now and pours your water out for you.
Yeah, that is a long way. And how'd you ever get involved with Moen in the beginning?
At the start, I was in another industry in air filtration, and there was some opportunity. I lived in Florida as well, and I knew Moen was a pretty big brand name down there. Yeah. And when I moved back to Ohio, I saw the opportunity through looking for a job, already employed, but just looking outside the industry I was currently in, and saw Moen, and really good brand name, recognized name, and applied for the job. Went through the rigmarole of interviewing, and ended up being chosen as a candidate for the rep in the Central Ohio market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great, and we've really been glad to have you as a rep. You've been a great rep for Moen, and
thank you.
Our company really depends, Brad, on other good companies.
Sure.
Because we can't deliver a great product and a great service unless we're working with other great companies, and you're one of those. And we really appreciate our relationship and how you take care of us. I know you're in the showroom every now and then talking with our designers and telling them what's new. And you're probably checking out the faucets in our showroom that, oh, nope, that's out. That's old. Let's get rid of that one.
Right.
Let's put
updates,
a new one there.
Refreshes, new things that the girls choose and pick out, and finishes and colors. I'm glad to be a part of it, and it's two great companies that work as a partner to deliver the best results for their customers.
And that's exactly what it's all about, is at the end of the day, what experience does our client have, and how pleased are they? Did we get them everything they wanted? Were we creative, offering great products, great finishes? And finishes is quite a thing, I know, in the faucet industry. I'm sure we'll talk about that sometime.
Right. I got some good stats on that as well.
Cool. All right. Because finishes are always changing. Some stick around. Well, chrome, of course, has been here forever, right?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of a tried and true, finish.
Yeah, it's a good standby. Which I actually, just when I remodeled my master bath not long ago, we used chrome fixtures in there.
Same here.
Really? Okay. But in the powder room that we're doing now, I'm using the new gold finish.
Yeah, our brushed gold has taken off. In the last year, I know we came out about 2 years ago with it, and it just kind of, there was other brands out there and other companies that had a gold finish that was kind of first to market. And sometimes it's nice to be a slow second, and it's finally taking off for us, and it's finally finding that niche for the buyers.
Yeah, always something new.
Right.
Okay, before we get into all that cool stuff, let's talk about some of the electronics behind Moen and faucetry and other things having to do with water.
Well, the You by Moen product or brand that we've come out with started quite a few years ago. We had a product called IO Digital where we partnered with a company called Aqualisa out of Europe and kind of put our heads together and came up with a digital shower valve. And then we took that to the next level, and we've developed a valve on our own called You by Moen, which is more of a Wi-Fi compatible product where it works through the cloud system, and you can monitor your water usage, and you can have updates that come and update onto your controller or on your app. And it's just we're taking it to the next level with that showering system to the kitchen system. So we have a You by Moen kitchen smart faucet as well that we've developed over the last year or two that's been out in the market. And just taking it to the next level to where we might be able to control water flow for people and make it easier for them to utilize either their shower or their kitchen faucets.
Okay, so the water in the kitchen, faucet controlled electronically, does it talk to the Flow by Moen unit, or do they?
It does not communicate with the Flow by Moen unit, but it can be on the same app when we open up our Moen project or Moen website to have an app to control all our products. But no, it won't. Like if it's leaking, then yeah, your Flow by Moen will recognize that as a drip. That's not normal, and it will shut your water off if it determines that faucet is not working correctly.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily pinpoint that particular faucet, does it?
There is a app that we have that you can subscribe to that does narrow down usage of water, how far away it is from the flow.
Okay.
And it can kind of pinpoint things depending on the flow rates of the water.
Yeah.
Not specifically to the kitchen, but it can determine on distance and type of water flow.
All right. So what all does that faucet do in the kitchen then with the You by Moen?
The You by Moen faucet, smart faucet that we have in the kitchen, can turn water on simply by speaking to your Alexa, your Apple, or your Google.
Okay. And
you don't have to specifically say, give me 5 ounces of water. You can have generic terms like give me a half a glass of water. But it does do metric and non-metric and fractional units of water. So if you need a teaspoon of 110 degree water, you can put a teaspoon. You don't even need to put the teaspoon in anymore. You just stick your bowl with your cake batter in there.
And it's going to measure.
And it's going to put a half a teaspoon of hot 120 degree water or whatever you would like.
Is that right?
So actually you'll have to get rid of your measuring spoons and your measuring cups when you have the You by Moen smart faucet.
That is amazing. Never thought of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll measure a half cup of water or 2 cups or whatever you want?
Yeah, all the way up to 15 gallons. Not that you're going to fill up 15 gallons, but if you have a sink that you're going to wash your dishes in, if you don't have a dishwasher, you could probably set it to say, fill up my sink, and you have to preset that to, let's say it's 8-gallon sink or something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you say, hey, Alexa, have Moen turn on my, fill up my sink at 110 degrees. And it'll fill up your sink at 110 degrees and stop.
Wow, so with a busy family and kids all over the house, especially now when kids are doing school at home, the mom, man, I could save her a lot of time. She could be helping the kids getting on their Zoom meeting and tell Alexa to fill the sink or need a half whatever.
Right. One thing that I think about is sports bottles for kids. You can stick it in the sink and fill Jamie's sports bottle. It'll give you the 32 ounces of cold water. Dog dishes, you could stick a dog dish in there and say, fill up the dog dish. That'll be the cold water. It'll fill up and it'll stop at the point wherever you preset it at.
Yeah, so you can program your app to do all those things, and the app then knows how much water the dog dish needs and all that.
Right, and then you can also program that on presets on your phone as well, if you don't want to speak to it. There's 4 ways to actually use the faucet.
Okay, that's incredible. Okay, well, we got a lot to talk about today.
Sure.
We're running at the end of our segment 1 here, but after this, I want to talk more about the Flow by Moen unit too, because I have that in my home and I've been experiencing that, so I want to give our listeners an update. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
And it's good to be here with you all this morning. We're talking about Flow by Moen and You by Moen and everything by Moen, right?
Anything you can think by Moen.
That's right. Okay, so now I have Brad Pope with me here. He's from Moen, and you're a rep for our area. How big of an area do you cover, Brad?
Geographically, I go out east to the border of Ohio and then down southwest Ohio. We actually have 4 reps in the state of Ohio that cover the whole state, and I cover my section in the central to southeast part.
All right. Well, we're glad we have you.
I'm glad I'm here too. Thank you.
Good deal. All right. So, Brad, in the first segment, we were talking some about just some of the new electronics that Moen has come out with. And we were talking about the kitchen faucet, the smart kitchen faucet, which measures things by just a voice command.
Right.
Pretty amazing. So, is there any more to talk about with kitchen faucet?
As far as the way the kitchen faucet works, there's actually 4 different ways to use your faucet. You can use it your normal way, where you can grab the handle and turn it on and off, find your temperature and turn the water on and off. So that faucet can be used like a normal everyday kitchen faucet. The second way to use it is like our motion sense faucet, which is the first one we came out with about 4 or 5 years ago, where you just put your hand, wave your hand across it.
Yeah, my wife and I love that
and
faucet.
It turns on. You can wash your hands, you can fill up a pot, and then you can wave your hand across it and it turns off. The third way to use it is by voice command with your Apple iHome, your Google, or your Alexa. And actually the fourth way to use it is an app on your phone. So you can have presets on your phone to perform different tasks that you have. And one of the stories I have behind that is maybe a new couple that has a baby that has to get a baby bottle done at 2 in the morning, and you know how it is to get up at 2 in the morning and heat up a bottle. Well, in this case, you could have the app on your phone at bedside. Your child needs it fed. You can just wake up, hit baby bottle. The water purges through this faucet to the temperature that you determine is enough.
Okay, so when you say it purges through, is that water recycling until it reaches the right temperature?
It would be like you're turning your faucet on normally to get to the hot water. You got to get that cold water out of it. So it does do that prior to you going in there. So you'll say baby bottle on your phone, laying in bed, half asleep. It purges to get to, let's say, 102 degrees, and then it pauses and stops and gets in a ready mode.
I see. Okay.
You come stumbling in your kitchen with your baby bottle with powder in it, stick it under there. You can wave your hand across it. You can say, fill the bottle. It'll put the 8 ounces in there. Boom, you're ready to go. And you can.
That makes sense. I was wondering how you bring the water to temperature.
Yeah, like if you say 107 degrees, give me a half a cup. It'll purge through there, get that 107 degrees, and then go in pause mode and be ready to go for that half a cup at 107 degrees.
That's pretty clever. Yeah.
So you don't have to sit there and waste time. It is a drawback when you're looking at any temperatured water to have to purge the cold water. You know how you take a shower in the morning, sometimes you got to sit there and wait depending on how far away your hot water heater is.
Right. Okay, very cool. And then is the kitchen faucet the only one that's smart, or do they make those for bathrooms and other stuff?
We have not made one for the bathroom yet. We do have electronic faucets in our commercial line of products, but for the residential line, it just the market hasn't been really determined that that's a high volume user. There's been some companies out there that have done that, but I don't know if they've been as successful as what they thought they would be.
Yeah, sometimes good ideas end up not being that great ideas until the market's ready for them.
Right, and that time may not be here yet, but I think with what's going on, it could be here pretty soon.
Yeah, people in their houses more.
Right.
Yep. The house is command central today for everything. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if we should thank COVID for that or curse COVID for that, but it changed our lives, didn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of a good-bad scenario. Good news is this, and bad news is this.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Flow by Moen, because I think the last time you were on a radio show, I learned about it, so I got one right away from my house. And the reason I got this, Brad, is because being in the remodeling business, I know what leaking water can do over time, and it will blow people's minds to see some of the things I've seen, especially if people that maybe leave for vacation and then the upstairs bathroom breaks, water line breaks or something.
Right.
And you got all this water flowing for maybe a week in your home, and you come home and your house is literally destroyed. I mean, I remember looking at one particular job where this happened. These people went overseas to India for like 3 weeks. And it was a very large 2-story home. And when they came back, they found that the upstairs bathroom was leaking like a lot of the time that they were gone.
Right.
And the insurance company had a demo crew come in and just strip all the drywall off the wall. So when you walked on the inside, it looked like the house had just been framed.
Right.
It was stripped down to bare studs. And imagine that, all the kitchen cabinetry, all the moldings, all the floor finishes, wall finishes, ceiling finishes, gone.
Even the subfloor.
Gone. So they had to, it was an incredible, terrible mess. And when I saw that, my jaw just dropped. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe this was just because of a leaking faucet.
Right.
So that's why I put one of those in my house, because I don't want that happening to my home. And I'm sure that was probably some of the motivation for Moen to engage in this technology.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, being a steward of water, there's a lot of unchecked leaks that happen in a house, and not necessarily a water line, but that is more the catastrophic type, or frozen water lines. But there are leaks behind the wall that you don't see for 5 years, that where mold grows, and the drip just might
very slow
drip
leaks,
every half hour and dry out, but it's every half hour for 5 years, and it just, over time, you have a lot of things that go on unseen that this thing will prevent from happening.
Yeah, so I'm going to I have the app on my phone here, and I want to pull it up.
I have it as well, Gary.
Flow by Moen.
You can compare kind of water pressures, which are nice.
My water pressure seems really high, and sometimes the app even warns me
if your water pressure is too high.
Yeah, because it averages around 75. Was it PSI, pounds per square inch? Is that how they measure that?
Yeah, mine's at 54.6, and it changes during the day. 58.7, it just went up.
Yeah. So if you're watching the video, I've got this app right up here, and you can see it. And of course it does. Here's the activity log, and it logs all the drips that you've had recently. It's not focused very good there. Okay. You've got how many gallons you've used the last day, the last week, the last month, and it kind of rates you here on what you should be doing, and we don't really do too good at that on our household.
You can set goals for yourself, but those are kind of unrealistic depending on how many people are in your house or how many people are visiting.
Yeah. So today we've got 154 gallons that we've used so far. But the interesting thing is, okay, so I have one critical alert showing up here on the phone, right there, and it says water system shut off. So it actually shut my water off when my water softener was running, and that's always running in the middle of the night. So
you might be able to reboot that and get it to learn that.
Yeah, I think I need to do that. But with any smart app, there is a learning process, right?
Right.
So this thing will actually, if there's a drip detected or something, it gives it some time, right? It doesn't, the second something starts dripping, it doesn't shout.
It doesn't really. It usually notices it during a self-test. If it doesn't hold the pressure, that's when it realizes that there's something going on, and there's a drip somewhere. Yeah.
So if you have a drip, or maybe there's just an unusual, it monitors, it learns how you use water in your house.
Right.
And if something unusual is happening, it's going to let you know. And it doesn't just send you an email, or it doesn't just send you a text, or it doesn't just call you. It does all three.
It does all. It is overkill.
Yeah.
Which is probably better than not doing one.
Well, I agree.
You might not have your phone with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife has the app on her phone as well, so we can both monitor that. But the thing is, it's going to let you know if there's a problem. And then you have the chance to, from your phone, you can say, well, no, don't shut it off. I know what that is. Okay, we're up against the break. Brad, we're going to get more into this right after this. And we're back, the Dave Fox Home Remodeling Show. I'm Gary Demas. Really glad to be with all of you. I'm president of Dave Fox Design Build Remodelers here in Columbus. And we are one of the largest design build remodelers in the nation. Actually, I think we were ranked 25 in last year's publication. So we've got a lot of work going on. So, Brad, I was chatting with Dave Schicks, our field manager. You know Dave, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was asking him how many jobs we have going on at any given time. So he says between 40 and 60, and people hear that number and it's like, oh my gosh, how on earth could you do that?
How do you manage that, right?
That's a lot. a lot of logistics, a lot of products. That's why we really depend on great products like Moen, to get us through. Okay, so we were talking about the Flow by Moen, which I have in my home, and I was talking about how when something happens, it's going to call my phone, it's going to text me, and it's going to email me. And somehow I'm going to find that information out. And then from the app, I have the chance to adjust it. It'll say
sensitivity.
The sensitivity, and also it'll say, okay, I'm going to turn your water off in 5 minutes if you don't respond.
Right.
So you have the chance right there from your phone. If you're in bed, it's the middle of the night and the phone's ringing, and you think, oh, okay, that's my water softener, or I'm watering a tree outside all night, or whatever. You can turn it off right there while you're in bed and not worry about it.
Right.
Okay, so your water's not going to get shut off. Otherwise, you're going to get up and investigate and find out what the heck's going on, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you've got this app or this unit at your house, too?
Yeah, I've had it since last December, and I've had quite a few instances where I've needed to either ask, turn it on or off, depending on what water's going on. And I know a lot of people have young kids in their house, and I've had issues where the shower's been on for 30 minutes, and it alerts me and says, hey, you've used 93 gallons of water in 30 minutes. That's kind of an unusual usage, so we're going to shut it off. And then I'll get a phone call, a text, and an email. Reply. A couple times it's happened with my daughter. I have turned the water off, and I get a screaming person out of the shower. And other times I've allowed it to happen. More the latter on the first few tries, but more recently I've actually turned the water off, and I think the lesson is learned.
That's funny. Okay. So she knows if she's in there too long, she's going to be out of water.
Yeah, and I don't think they're really in there that long. They might be on their phone for 15 or 20 minutes before. For some reason, they think the hot water tank is 2 miles away, and it takes 15 minutes to get hot water to the shower.
That's funny.
Right.
That's funny. Okay, so that's Flow by Moen, and I highly recommend it, especially if you've seen firsthand the damage that water can do. So it's just comforting to know that your water is being monitored, and also knowing the water pressure is interesting too, because how do you ever know what your water pressure is unless you have something on to measure it,
or a plumber to come out and tell you how much it is, and then the temperature as well also shows up on here. So if you're in a cold environment out of town, and you notice that your temperature of your water has dropped 10 degrees or 15 degrees in the last few days, maybe your furnace is out or something. You could also utilize the shutoff for that fact as well.
Yeah. So people that travel a lot, man, this would be could be a lifesaver for sure.
Yeah, peace of mind, especially with the cost of insurance to replace interior, house. It's well worth the cost, as opposed, and even the insurance companies would agree with that.
Yeah, and it's not expensive, and a plumber, it only takes them about an hour to put it in, right?
Yep.
Yeah, very simple. Goes right there, right by the main water shutoff. So that's a great unit, Flow by Moen, and people can pick that up at Home Depot or Lowe's, right?
They can see it online as well, and I think they do have it on the shelf. I prefer they work it through their plumbers or through the remodelers, like yourself, or the plumbing wholesale shops locally.
Yeah, okay. Great. Okay, so what else has Moen been up to these days?
Well, last year we added to the Flow by Moen a leak detector. Not just the flow detector where it senses flow in your water, we actually added a leak detector system. So you can put it in areas where maybe you have an old water tank or underneath your kitchen sink. It's more on the drain side of things. I have one that I put in my sump pump. I do not have a backup sump pump, which everybody probably recommends you do have one because I have a finished basement.
Yeah.
I've stuck a disc down in there, and it's tied into our system here where it tells you the humidity and the temperature and the battery life. And those two things do talk to each other and let each other know what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's a new system that we've added. There's a lot of brands out there that you can plug in a battery and stick it near a sump pump or a dishwasher or something like that. We've just added this to our complete line of our Flow products.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so that assists the Flow by Moen, and You by Moen. We talked about, of course, the kitchen faucet, how that's pretty much a smart faucet now. You can talk to it and all that pre-measure things and bring the water to temperature and all that crazy stuff. But in the shower also, there's another unit that's kind of automated, right?
Yeah, it was our first U by Moen product that came out, and I think we did the show 2 years ago where we discussed a little bit more detail about the U by Moen. But the shower has done really well. There's a market for it. I mean, there's certain buyers that still like a mechanical valve in their wall. But I just actually was on one about a week ago. I helped set it up for the homeowner. Pretty simple setup. If they just download the app on the Moen, then they can register it to their phone. And then from there, you have 12 presets on your phone for morning shower, afternoon shower, or after workout shower. You got a lot of different things you could do. And another nice thing about the U by Moen that I want to mention is you set a preset for morning shower at 108 degrees. That's just your perfect shower, and you want your overhead shower and your regular shower head running. So you hit your preset number 2, morning shower. Well, then you forget about it. It actually gets to that 107 degree temperature in your shower because it has to purge through the cold water.
Yeah.
And it pauses. So on your phone, it will alert you your shower is ready. But the shower is not running at that point. So let's say you went and got coffee or you had to go finish some laundry. So it'll actually pause and wait for you to come in there, and then you can hit start, and then you got the 107 degree water at that point when you get into the shower instead of wasting water like we currently do with a mechanical valve.
Sure. Yeah, so that must be a thermostatically controlled faucet then?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's nice because you can just dial up the temperature that you know is right.
Yep.
And you know it's going to
senses
be
any
what you're
pressure
expecting.
differential from hot and cold, and you're not going to get scalded.
Yeah. Yep. So then when it goes on pause, I know with busy families, somebody might forget they even turned it on. So how long does it stay on the pause?
That's a good question. I would have to say it would alert you on your notification, and it might alert you again soon after that if it hasn't been turned on. And then it probably would shut off, I would have to say, within 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I would have to find more specific on that.
Yeah. With my wife and I, we used to have our daughter and 6 grandkids live with us. And believe me, a day would be quite chaotic with all that stuff going on. And we started a lot of things we never even got back to. And we just actually had them all in the house last night. That was fun. For
Good.
a little,
Nice big dinner.
Yep. The mom and the dad had to get away for a weekend, so we kind of helped with all the kids.
Very nice.
Yeah. Okay. So U by Moen, electronic smart faucets, and that's the kitchen or the shower area. And then we've got the Flow by Moen, which is electronic, monitoring your water and the water pressure. And actually, my water pressure is usually about 75, which I think is pretty doggone high, because it's gotten up to 80 or 82 yet, and the app actually warned me that the pressure's too high.
Well, typically plumbing fixtures, whether it's a faucet or a flush valve or a toilet or anything, manufacturer recommends between probably 60 to 80 psi for run it correct.
Okay.
Anything over that, you start getting into areas where it could blow a seal and this and that. So those are the concerns I think that
I see.
you have to. And at that point, you put a pressure reducing valve in your house to kind of lower that pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice problem to have, a little too much pressure. It's
Right.
terrible
And you
to
might
have
be
not enough.
near a it might be near a station or something where the water's being pumped to the neighborhood.
Yep. Okay, so I have Brad Pope from Moen with me this morning. Really glad to have everybody tuned in. Brad, we're going to take a break. After the break, I want to talk about really what some of the trends are in the industry, what's happening, with plumbing fixtures. So we will be right back.
Thanks.
And we're back. Glad to have you listening to the Dave Fox Home Remodeling Show. And I have Brad Pope with me this morning. Brad, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
So if you're just tuning in, Brad is a rep for Moen, and everybody knows about Moen. Great faucets, a great company. How long has Moen been in business?
Al Moen invented the single lever faucet in 1937. Moen kind of, through conglomerates and so forth and so on, it's been about over 50 years old.
Yeah, that's great. And all of us, well, most of us, remember the old two-handled faucets, and your grandma might still have those in her house. Who knows?
Yeah, that's how he scalded himself shaving, so he decided to invent a single lever mixing valve.
Yeah, that's great. So we all benefit from Mr. Moen and all the things that he came up with.
Right.
Okay, so in the industry today, obviously, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what product you're making, unless it's maybe 2x4s, it changes over time, right? Yeah. So, and great companies can be great for a long time and go out of business because they don't change, can't they?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think change is part of any large industry or any large company. So I know Moen does a good job of adapting and coming out with products. And you mentioned they may not be first on the market with something, but usually if you're on the cutting edge, you get cut up, right?
That is true. You get beat up pretty quick from every critic in the world.
Yeah. So you can, even great companies like Apple, will sometimes let other people go out there and get cut up first, and then they'll come with a product that really meets the need and is better designed.
Right.
So it sounds like that's part of Moen's philosophy too.
Right. I think with all these new products that we've come out with, especially on the smart design, is make sure the market's there. Make sure you have a product that you can take to market that will, be able to withstand the daily usage of a consumer and how they utilize their faucets.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that happening, there's always trends and things change. In the remodeling industry, it's amazing to see how things have changed in the many years that I've been involved in it. And I think back 30 years ago, what seemed to be absolutely amazing and so gorgeous and so well thought out, today we kind of laugh at some of the things, that
like a finish or a wood or a color.
Yeah. Or the one that gets me the most is the big tone or tub throne that we made. So you got a big, enormous sunken tub with the steps going up to it, which is the most stupid thing on earth, because then, you have to step down from a higher surface to a lower one. Is very dangerous.
Sometimes it's slick because it's tile.
How did we ever come up with those ideas?
Probably in a movie. And it was really neat.
Yeah. So I had a business in Findlay, Ohio for a number of years, and I was had a showroom up there as well. And I built one of those great big tub areas. And I thought, this was in the early 80s, and I just thought that was so amazing, and the big steps going up to it. And that's when we were doing that. But that was kind of a flash in the pan idea, because we didn't take long to figure out that doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I think the insurance companies probably also figured that out.
Or broken hips and people falling in their tubs, and who knows what happened. So anyhow, things change. Some things change for the better. Sometimes there's these flash in the pans of ideas that come out for a little while and are real popular, and then they're gone. But the whole point is you have to adapt, and you have to change, and you have to move with the market. And you mentioned a couple of times this morning about the market wasn't quite ready for something. And being in the industry, we can have what we think are great ideas that we know are important and really should be used, but the market's not ready yet.
Right.
Yeah. So that happens, and maybe, I suppose, I'm sure Moen has a design team of people working on designs and engineering and coming out with new ideas. So they may come out with some really cool ideas, and maybe the powers that be at Moen evaluate it and say, well, the market's not ready for that yet. Let's put it on the shelf.
That's exactly what they do.
Really?
Is they take it up the chain, take it to a committee, and then they determine whether or not it's something worth investing in right now, or maybe perhaps investing in 2 to 3 years. We're always at Moen 2 to 3 years out on product styles and designs. Mm-hmm. And there are always things that have to come to the forefront sooner than later, just depending on, and that's market-driven product.
Yeah.
Maybe a competitor comes out with something that we think we can do better on. But for the most part, we kind of create our own products, our own styles, and our own designs, and it's typically a 3-year vision that we have to get that product out to the market.
Yeah. And so with that in mind, are there can you give us any sneak peeks or anything that you know of that's cooking?
Well, as far as I know, I kind of wish I did. I think technologically speaking, there's probably some things in the horizon with regards to the bathroom, maybe faucetry similar to the smart faucet.
Yeah.
Haven't got any confirmation on anything. I'm just speculating things. Mm-hmm. But I think if this smart faucet is taking off the way it is, there are things that they could utilize throughout the house. Maybe in the sump pump world, or maybe in the toilet world, Moen could get involved in with regards to other products that we don't currently have. We've created a product, partnered with a company out on the West Coast, with a Nebia shower. It's called Nebia, Nebia, and it's kind of a low flow shower system that has the misters on it. And it's a nice little shower that basically is another way to save water. Not like the old misters you bought when you were in 1985 that you know they just squirt out water. This is actually a whole new complete system with a handheld and an adjustable shower that rinses the soap out of your hair, rinses the soap off your body. Neat new concept that you can look up on our website as well at moenpro.com. So that's called Nebia. That's something new that's actually only been out for about 6-8 months. We're trying to see if that market is there for that.
Yeah, and when you speak about the smartphone, okay, well, we all know what smartphones are, but the smart home, it's been interesting for me to watch that because a lot of smart home ideas have been out for quite some time now.
Right.
Electronics, light switching, light controls, entertainment control. There's been a lot of that available, and the engineering has been behind it, and I think it's a viable product now.
Right.
But honestly, we have not seen a lot of market-driven desire for a lot of smart home stuff at this point, at least in terms of electronics and entertainment.
It might be behind the scenes side of the product where there's a lot of work that seems to maybe if you got your walls up and everything, sometimes there are things that have to go on behind the walls that maybe during the remodeling process they could go in there, but it's still a cost thing too. Sometimes when the demand and the cost comes down a little bit, it's kind of like electric car. They're still very expensive unless that cost comes down. Then the average price of the car comes down. Then more and more of the people will be able to afford something like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure its day will come.
Right.
But right now it's just very much hit or miss, or just a few people. Because we work for a lot of clients that can afford to do some really elaborate things, but we just don't have much demand. We have some, but not as much as I would think there would be.
Right, based on what the products that are out in the market, you'd think there'd be more. It just people are kind of used to what they've grown up with, and and there's, like you said, there's a few of them out there that really like that new technology, and that's going to be in everything. But right, people like mechanical stuff.
Gadgetry,
right.
Absolutely. That it works, and it's good function, just like a really good app, that meets a need and is easy to use.
Right. Why update to a new one when you can keep the one that you've been
exactly
familiar with?
Yeah. Okay, so Brad, it's been great having you on this morning. Thanks so much for being on the show. I really appreciate our relationship, and you work for a great company, and you're a great rep for that company. Appreciate that. So we've been listening and talking to Brad Pope. He is a rep for Moen Manufacturing here in the Columbus area, and it's everybody knows that brand. I'm sure many of you have Moen faucets in your home and are enjoying them. And they last a heck of a long time. So, Brad, thanks again for being on. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. You can go to davefoxradio.com, and there you can actually see the video that we're recording right now, Brad and I, or listen to any of our previously broadcast shows. And we'll be back here next Sunday morning at 8.